Dear students, welcome to ePG Pathsala, an e-content project under National Mission on Education through ICT. I am Dr. B. Jayaprakash, working as Assistant Professor at Department of Library and Information Science, Bharatdasan University, Tiruchirappalli. Today, we are going to discuss on digital library planning and implementation under the paper Digital Library. The objective of this model is to impart knowledge on the following aspects such as develop the digital library project, plans and budgets, identify the sources for funding and grants, develop the strategic planning for collection development, plan for infrastructure and implementation, identify manpower skill development, and implement the digitization and its sustainability. And introduction. Development in information communication technology ICT, that is computing technology, communication technology and mass storage technology are some of the areas of continuous development that reshape the way libraries store, access, retrieve, manipulate and disseminate information to users. The developments in ICT, especially the WW and internet, have led to information explosion. Information explosion and adoption of a new technology is needed to support this new search and indexing functionality as well as store of full text content in digital world. These can be solved only by implementation of digital libraries. So digital libraries differ significantly from the traditional libraries because they allow the user to access electronic resources, data sets, images and audio visual contents. In a user point of view, the digital libraries are systems that can provide consistent access to a large organized repository of information and knowledge to the users without any physical restrictions. So now we'll just discuss on the planning digital library. Objectives of digital libraries in the context of planning and implementation can be summarized as follows. First one is the selection of content and appropriate digital format. It means the selection of content may be text, images, audio and video to be added to the digital library collection and digitizing them in appropriate digital formats. The formats as PDF, HTML and JPEG, JPG, etc. Second one is assigning metadata to the digital content. Assigning metadata to the digital documents being added to the collection, that is author, title, publisher, publication date and place, etc. in the case of books, and other documents the metadata may differ, that is journals and thesis attestation, etc. Next is the indexing and the storage of documents. Indexing and storage of documents and metadata for enabling its efficient search and retrieval of a digital documents. So this is a major portion where exactly the index is happening and how efficient we can just search. And the next option is with assign a unique identifier to each digital object. This is to identify the digital document, the unique number to be allotted for each and every document, that is digital object identifier. This is like ISBN number for books and ISSN number for journals. The next option is for the developing a web-based interface. This is to enable search, browse, view and retrieve the contents by the user community. Next, identification of a requirement, and before commencement of a digital library project, it is essential to articulate its requirement and purpose as concisely as possible. That is, its need and relevance. Why we are going to, we need to identify what is the need of this digital library. Second is targeted community of users who is going to use this digital library, and next is with the process involved in a building of a digital library. And after that, we need to think of other practical questions to be answered. They are, what type of resources will it contain? So whether it is in books or journals or a thesis attestation, e-newsletters and other things. And how it is expected to grow. The collection it is going to submit by the users or only the librarian and other things we have to discuss. And who is going to use it and how. whether the PG students or researcher scholars and faculty members, who is the audience, and how can resources be protected against accidental and intentional modifications. So if anyone want to download, so while doing it, what will be the problem? If anything they've done wrong, what we have to do? All those things we need to address here, like, and how will access and intellectual property rights be managed? The systematic download has to be, and if anyone is not doing the same, like, and how the intellectual property rights and the download, how it has to be there, and any violation of copyrighted issues to be taken care on this. And what systems does it need to interact with? Whether we need to have a digital library system for access, and that to be how we are just going to put it in now. Websites, all those things we have to identify, and what special capabilities does it. This is what are searching for facilities and connecting with that the recent technologies, all those things, and what resources will be required to create and to maintain it. So now here we need to identify that software and how efficient it will work. All those things we need to decide about. And identification of requirements, and the above identification of requirements answers to these questions will broadly clarify how and what are the strategies to execute the project, and what are the hardware, software components to be used, functionality requirements, key players and expertise, and also which is necessary to move the project forward. Next is to the feasibility. At the time of planning and before implementing of the digital library, it is necessary to conduct a feasibility study of the digital library project. The feasibility should be established not only in terms of availability of tools and expertise, but also other factors like volume numbers of a document and target audience, demand for the material to be digitized, and users' expectations and requirements. And the study should also assess the possibility to execute the project from in-house or outsourced to external vendors. And next is the implementation strategy, and to identify various tasks related to digital library collection, including development strategies. It means how we are going to build the digital collections. Are we going to existing content to be bring to the digital library, or what are the way we are going to access the digital adding to the digital library collections. And next is with the defining financial, infrastructural and manpower issues. That is, we need to understand the financial requirements of hardware, software and human experts. All those things we need to think of in this defining financial and infrastructure manpower resources. And interface development, and here we need to finalize how we are going to give the interface for access of digital resources like library or website, from library website, or it is from the institution website or any other media. So that to be decided on this. And access method, here access method is nothing but whether we are going for internet or internet access or internet access, and further the resources can be accessed by all or only authenticated users. It means the eligible, the candidates, they can access for this kind of resources. Like the last one is legal issues to subscribe resources. Here it just plays the copyright and IPR issues. Next is the collection development. In the planning, digital library collection development is to specify a need for creating a digital library. It means whether our rare collection can be accessed by this, or all born digital collections are going to be accessed. And here we need to understand like and why we need to go for a digital library creation and what kind of a collection to be added to this. The next is with the purpose. What purpose and who is the target audience? We need to think. The purpose is for a collection of only for the text or a reference materials or any audio, video and other things. And the target audience, and we need to decide it is with the students or scholars and faculty members. And the next, digital resources formats and compatibility. So here we should see that and what kind of a collection we are going to, in which format it is, like HTML format, PDF, JPG, JPEG, AVI, MP3, etc. The next is with the digital resources, issues and challenges. So here we need to be very clear, talk about that what is a copyright and IPR issues and lifelong availability. It means like what kind of a preservation and we are going to adopt. So this is with the collection development. Next is with the access mechanism and sustainability. Here access mechanism is nothing but abstract level or a full text level or a chapter wise or a full book, and also preservation of our digital content, how we are going to keep it for a lifelong access. Those things we need to discuss on this. And next is with the type of resources and the key attributes of the sources. That is, types of resources is nothing but the staff publications, working papers, project reports, thesis and dissertations, etc. And distribution of print materials and required format is identifying the materials to be scanned and to decide which file format. Digitization of a print material and required format is, and we need to identify and what are the materials to be digitized and which format will be efficient to access by the users. That to be decided on this slide. Next is with the digital surrogates of resources metadata. Digital surrogates are considered a utility for aiding in the preservation and increased access of a certain artifacts. It is theoretically possible to digitize all existing collections available in the library. And scale of operation, in terms of a scale of operation, copyright and value are the three factors that calls for selection of materials for digitization and delivering subsets of collections in the following three formats. So surrogates of rare items, for example, manuscripts. Manuscripts will be there in our library, but at the same time that we can just make it for the digital. So alternative, the solution is the printed, manuscript as it is, it will be there, and apart from this you will get for the digital collection also. And this is, since it is a rare material, we need to go for it. So this kind of a materials we can just call it as surrogates of the rare items. And digitized surrogate collections assembled from multiple repositories. The second set, what we can do is like we can just collect like this rare materials already which is available in the digital format from the multiple repositories. Already institutions, they might have established for the institution repositories. From that we can just collect for this digitized surrogate collections, and collections assembled specifically to be digitized. So here very specific, we need to concentrate the material which is specifically talk about the culture related or medicine related or some specific value collections. So these all, it comes under digital surrogates of resources and metadata. The creation of a digital archive will significantly improve the accessibility and usability of information contained within the collection whilst conserving the original materials, which may get deteriorated over the long period of time. Next is with the bound digital resources. Bound digital resources are items created and managed in a digital form. So this is already, it is available in a digital form. These the types of bound digital contents are electronic thesis and dissertation. So here electronic thesis and dissertation, that is electronic copy of a thesis submitted by the research scholars, straight away we can just add into the content. So then it will comes under the type of a bound digital. So like that, electronic journals are available and e-magazines are available. So these are the subscribed electronic journals and magazines by the libraries that we can add into our content. Like next is with the digital photographs. Digital photographs are available by when you're just taking a photo by the digital cameras, that is available. Apart from this, you can even collect from that Google Maps or Google other sites are there. So there we can just collect all digital photographs. And next is with the multimedia resources. Multimedia resources, nothing but audio and video resources which is available in the content with the library or in a web. We can just collect and add into our digital library collections. The last one is with the harvested web content. This harvested web content is nothing but existing the related the electronic contents which is available on other institution repositories and subject gateways. So we need to collect, we need to identify the good resources and add into our collection. So this is called the harvested web content. And next is with the project plan. So after selecting the collections of a digitization, assigning the strategical advantages of digitization and evaluating the cost to the institution, the next activity to be undertaken is the development of detailed project plan. This project includes the following three aspects. So these are the major aspects like managerial planning, infrastructure planning and human resource planning. So we need to take care for these three plans which is most important for the project plan. The first is the managerial planning. This may include conducting a feasibility study, procurement of equipment, requirement of the manpower, digitization and IPR and right management issues, integration and organization of content, and finding a market, launching and marketing of services, and flow diagrams of a PERT and CPM, and SWOT analysis, and other management techniques may be a deployment at this stage. So here we have to be very careful choosing that managerial planning and to include of the hardware, software plus IPR and manpower also. And next is with the infrastructure, hardware and software planning. The requirements of a hardware and software for the server and network components may be worked out with their financial implications, and also connectivity and bandwidth required for hosting the digitized collection to be planned. So that is, for example, hardware. We need to decide the server brand, whether you are going for IBM or a Dell or whatever it is, and plus the configuration. What are the high configuration recent one is available? We need to select that is based on our digital library collection. The next is with the software. The software, and first we need to go with what is the operating system we are going to use, then the support of digital library softwares. Before finalizing this, we should be clear enough to say that what software is, it work in which operating system. So based on that we need to go for it. The next is with networking and internet. Networking is nothing but that internet service provider who is going to give an internet connection, and internet speed, how it is going to be, plus web hosting of our digital collections. These three we need to plan into infrastructure and hardware and software like. And next is with the human resource planning. Human resource have to be worked out in terms of staff time involved, training of existing staff, and requirement of a new staff with the desired skills. So digitization, when we go and we need to plan of who is efficient in what kind of a role of a job, so that we need to design and appoint the people. And next is with the financial planning. Financial planning and approximation of the cost that is close to real implementation scenario is a very important aspect in overall planning of a digital library. So while doing a financial planning, the following aspects must be considered: the planning and consulting a cost. So first one is with the planning and consulting cost. The second one is the purchase of a hardware and software and networking equipments, and third one is with the telecommunication cost, and fourth one is with the digitization cost, and fifth one is with the subscription cost, and next one is the operating cost, and the last one is for the training cost. Now these are the cost which is involved in the financial. So we need to be clear about so what the expenses will be there to implement for the digital library. The first one is the planning and consulting a cost. Planning and consulting a cost includes the direct and indirect costs. A consultant can be hired to assist the process with the long range technology planning and to involve the staff in preparing for and participating in all aspects. So this is where getting a consultant, so getting an idea from the outsiders like. Second is the purchasing of a hardware, software and networking equipment. Initial purchase costs include acquiring the initial system hardware, software, manpower, training, and of preparing a site or sites for the equipment. Example: server computer, desktop computers, digitization equipments, network connectivity, digital library softwares, and other equipments which is necessary for our digital library. The next one is with the telecommunications cost. These costs are the concern only for shared systems or multi-branch sites. In addition to telephone company line connections, there are expenses associated with the equipment such as switches, routers, and hubs to connect the internet and to the external database from specific vendors. Next is with the digitization cost. Costs of digitization are associated with the scanning of a text, metadata creation, and staff costs, etc., or expenses towards outsourcing of the entire project to an external agency and its monitoring. So these involves for the digitization cost. Next one is with the subscription cost. Databases and systems external to the library are now accessible on the internet. These databases are easily and simultaneously searchable. Example, and we are subscribing the library products like Web of Science, Scopus, Science Direct, JSTOR, etc. So these comes under the subscription cost. How it will, what are the range of the cost which is available for our product. And next is with the operating ongoing cost. This is called the ongoing operational cost. Includes the hardware and software maintenance fees and cost for utilities, miscellaneous supplies, and telecommunications. So these all it costs you are on the operating cost. The next one with the training costs. Training costs extend beyond those costs associated with the vendor provided training on the integrated system. So libraries must be prepared to fund such training initially and budget for the continuing education of both library staff and system operators. Now these are the important trainings required by all the digital library people. Next is developing a preliminary budget. The preliminary budget can occur by the following ways. One is the reading journals and other reference works. That is, we can just study from that implementation case studies and at various institutions, plus reading the number of journal articles. The second one is having informal discussions or meetings with the potential providers of service and systems. So this is, we can just talk to that the experts of those who are doing a service already. So we can just talk to them and then get the idea from the service providers. The next is with the visiting other libraries and talking with other librarians. So we can just visit nearby libraries where exactly they have implemented, what are the costs involved, and to talk to the librarians to get the different aspects, what are the expenses will cost. So all those things we can just get idea from the existing implemented libraries. Next is with the commissioning a consultant report. So we can even just consult with that experts of a digital library consultant and get a report and how much the cost will implicate for while we are just starting the digital library. So all that informations we can just get from the consultant. The next is with the gathering information through the use of formal requests to the vendors. So this is straight away, and who is the supplier and who is already the existing the market, we can just get the estimation from the suppliers or vendors. And next is with the gathering information through the web. So apart from this, and we can also just collect that information by accessing a web, by accessing the product catalogs and implementation cost by other institutions. So if you want to buy a software, like we can just browse and what is the software, what will be the cost, and related to the software and what else is required, all that informations we can just identify by gathering that information through the web. Now these are the important points and important ways to collect that developing a preliminary budget. Next is digital library implementation. Now we are into the implementation points, and digital library implementation is needed for the following reasons. So one is improved access. Why we need to go for a implementation of digital library? So that is, first one is required for improved access. Digital libraries are typically accessed through the internet and compact disk read only memory, and they can accessed virtually from anywhere and anytime. They are not tied to the physical location and operating hours of traditional libraries. So this is with the improved access. The second one is with the wider access. A digital library can meet simultaneous access requests for a document by easily creating multiple instances or copies of the requested documents. It can also meet the requirements of a large population of users easily. The next is with the improved information sharing through the appropriate metadata and information exchange protocols. The digital libraries can easily share information with other similar digital libraries and provide enhanced access to the users. So this is called a harvesting of a content. So like that, you can just share what is a digital library collections are available with you. You can just share with other librarians, and what is there with other libraries you can also just download. So this is called the, and it is possible by that digital library. And the next is with the improved preservation. Since that electronic documents are not prone to physical wear and tear, their exact copies can easily be made. The digital libraries facilitate preservation of special and rare documents and artifacts by providing access to digital versions of these entities. So improved preservation is always, it is possible. The printed material can be digitized and digital can be preserved for a longer time, and we can give a very good access those rare material and other things. So these are the ways we can just go for a implementation, why we need to go for a implementation of digital libraries. Next is with the reuse and documents. Reuse the documents. It means to convert documents into different formats. For example, to use images in a slideshow and to adapt the content for different purposes. The same content we can utilize for some other purposes. It's possible by reuse the documents. Next is with the steps for implementation. So establishing the digitization team. So first step is it's establishing the digitization team. that is we need to finalize the team leader, system administrator, technical assistants, binders. So here the technical assistants means like, and we need to find out the digital library expertise and who can just create a content, who can add a metadata like a cataloger. So all the technical assistants we need to finalize on this. The next step is for setting up the information technology infrastructure. So here we need to decide about the like hardware, software, networking components, and what are the related components which is required for our digital library. So all those things we need to decide about in these steps. The next one is for the procuring and installing a digital library software packages, and either commercial. So here we need to decide it is with either commercial or open source software to be decided and to install. The softwares like Ellipsis, Greenstone digital library software, DSpace, all you can just, whatever the, according to your cost and the features, we need to select, according to the features, we need to select the software for having of a digital collections. Like the last one is for the finalizing of policies and specifications. Steps for implementation, the next step is with the finalizing of policies and specifications. Here we need to finalize what are the policies we are going to do for the digital library. For example, what kind of materials to be added to our collection, and how that collection is going to be given access, and overall can access, and overall can participate to deposit that collections. All the specifications and copyright issues, all we need to discuss on this slide. And next is with the completing arrangement of a workflow for a digitization. So here arrangement for workflow is first collecting and organizing, then we need to just create a metadata and upload the content. So all the formalities, all the arrangement workflow should be ready for the digitizing the work. Next is with creating the online digital library collections. So creating online digital library collection, it means like we are just giving collecting that digital existing collections into our library, our digital library collections. The next is with the obtaining copyright permissions. We have to be very careful the digital library, and it plays a vital role for copyright issues. So we need to be very careful for selecting the document, so that should not get into any problem with the copyright issues. So what are the copyright issues, whether the permissions all can access or only those who have got authentication can access this, so that we need to decide on these steps. The next is with the providing access to the digital library collection. So providing access to the digital library collection is nothing but our developed the digital library, how we can just provide the access. So that we need to decide on this. Now these are the steps for that implementation. Next is with the techniques for digitization. Digitization of documents for a digital library is generally accomplished in 6 stages, such as registering, scanning, optical character recognition OCR, and next is proofreading, formatting, producing the final version. So now these are the major 6 steps will be used for the techniques for digitization. So we'll discuss one by one, and first is with the registering. So before scanning a large number of documents, there is a need to first register them and use the filing system to keep their track, because when we just keep on scanning and we will miss that the pages, what has gone first, what has gone second, or other. So we need to register and keep filing to keep that track. If not, and you risk misplacing hard copies, losing files, skipping steps to the process, or duplicating work, perhaps without realizing it. So these will all happen. So if you are not properly maintaining, sometimes you will just miss the files, and your hard copy also, it may be like it will just missing, and skipping steps in the process. This will happen into the so we have to go with the proper registration. There is also the risk of losing electronic versions of files because they have been misnamed or saved in wrong subdirectories. So when you're just processing, when you're doing a process of digitization, a lot of collections will be available. You have to be very careful, page by page, or the title of the book, another thing, you have to be properly record. You should prepare directories, subdirectories, files, all those things for having a registering system. And next is with the moreover, a good filing system is vital. So everyone in a digitization team knows what he is supposed to do and how fill in for another person in case of absence. So when we are just doing a registering in the proper way and overall involved in the registration team, and anyone can understand what is going on, how we need to go for the next step, all those things. If you are not doing this, then again the confusion will be there. So for that we need to go with the registering. Second is with the scanning. It is necessary to clean and dust off the documents to be scanned. Make sure that all the pages are present and in the register in the right order. So when we are just going for scanning, before we need to check that what are the documents, whether the pages are correct, whether it's a dust clean, all those things we need to look into this. Second, if the document is in a poor condition, try to find a fresh copy. If it is a sheet feeder scanner, cut the document open to get individual sheets to feed through the scanner. If necessary, you can rebind the documents later. For example, when you just go for a thesis scanning and other things, so first if it is very difficult to scan with a bound, you can just unbound those things, then after the scanning you can just go for a rebind. So this is an option, we can use it for a while before start the scanning. And if you do not want to damage the documents, you can photocopy each page and feed into the photocopy through the scanner, though this uses a lot of paper and reduce the quality of a scan. So this is possible without opening a binding, we can also just go for a photocopy, taking a photocopy and do it, but the quality will be very less. Quality will just go off. And the next point is to scan a document on a flatbed scanner, place it face down on the scanner platen or put the pages into the feed sheeter. Then the software choose a setting, resolution and colors, and scan each pages of the document at the settings you have done. Next option is the OCR, optical character recognition. So software converts, so here what will happen is the software converts a scanned images into a text files that a word processor can read. The next is with the software breaks the text blocks down into lines or into an individual character. It tries to match the images of each letter against pattern it recognizes. So sometimes the OCR, after you completed, it is possible to search by the text. So PDF, when you just do that, it comes as the PDF. For example, the PDF also it can be searchable by making of the text PDF. After OCR, PDF also it's possible to search. Next is the proofreading. So this is the act of making a corrections to the document text and layout. This is done in two ways, and one is the comparing the scanned text on the screen with a hard copy and entering the corrections directly into the computer. The word processor spell checker will help in spelling errors quickly. So this is the one way. The second way, it's a printing out the scanned text and comparing it with the original copy, and mark any corrections on the printout and then enter them into the computer. This is a slower method, but maybe the best option if there is not enough the computers for each proofreader. So this is possible. This is the proofreading. So once this is done, we can just finalize the document for a digital collection. The next is with the reformatting. The optical character recognition software may produce a document that consists of straight text, no columns, no header and no footers, and there is the need to reinsert these by hand or correct where they appear on the page. So over here they cannot go with the column setting or header footer, so we need to reset these by the hands. So wherever the correction is required, we need to go for it. So they may be also need to change the typeface, heading styles and so on. To make the document more attractive and readable, we need to reassemble all the type settings and all like. The final is, alternatively, you may be able to adjust the settings of your OCR program to preserve the layout of the page. So once it is pakka, it is done, we can just go make this copy can be the page layout can be for other resources. This is possible. This is with the reformatting, and the final is the final version. For many documents, there is a need to add some information to the text so that readers can identify it as easily. So for example, to say like writing a reviews, so like that many documents there is a need to add some information to the text so that the readers can identify it as easily. As far as a book, you must make sure that the book title, the author, the editor, publisher, publication date, and all are included. As for a chapter in a book, and you should include the title and the author of that chapter and the original page numbers in printed version of a book. So these are the extra information to be included in the document. And as for the journal articles, you should include the journal title of the the date, the volume, issue number, the article titles and the authors and the page numbers in the original printed journals. In other words, there is the need to add metadata to describe each document. So this metadata may be differ from each and every document. And next, the last option will be the hosting platforms. The institution should, once your implementation, the strategy and all over, we need to plan for the hosting platforms. So the institution should plan to host the digital library content on its own server or any other mechanism to reduce the cost and the internet traffic. The options for hosting digital library are self-hosting, mirror hosting, and cloud share hosting. So these are the three options. Hosting means what are the digital collections which you are already, it is there available, you built the collection, it is available in your software, and finally this is the place where we can just host for a internet access. So for that we need to plan for. That is what one is a self-hosting, mirrored hosting, and cloud shared. So what is first is a self-hosting. Institute can plan hosting of a digital content at their own premises. Self-hosting requires preparation of a site in terms of a power backup, environment control, fire protection, access control, etc. The hosting infrastructure such as we need for servers, storage capacities, and networking, bandwidth also to be planned. So self-hosting, keeping our server in our premises itself. For that we should have all that environment backup and all environmental protection should be there, plus equipment should be there. The next one is with the mirror hosting. Institute can also make mirroring of a digital library contents, and replica can be hosted on other sites and the other servers maintained by some other commercial vendors. So this will help in reducing the costly internet traffic. Mirror sites also increase the speed with which will file or websites can be accessed. So Institute or replica, it means like one copy can be here and the other copy can be there at the commercial sites. The next option is with the cloud shared services. Cloud-based services will provide highly scalable infrastructure and technical expertise to deliver a scalable, flexible, and reliable platform for a hosted application. Since they are the masters, they are the good service providers, and we can just give all the content to the service provider. They can have it from the remote. So our content, everything will be sitting on that remote. So it is with the third party. It provides a robust platform for growth and ensures that the client's hosted applications are delivered in a timely manner with the expected quality of a service and security. Since they are the masters and they can be do in the proper way, it is in a properly planned. So we need not to worry about the infrastructure of our hardware, software, all those things in this way. The next is so once it is over and we have just given access and their hosting also it is over, finally we need to decide and promotion and provision of services. How best we can just go for a promotion of our digital library and what are the services. So here the digital library collection created should be visible and it should be provided an easy access for users. The one way of achieving this is to include links to the collection sites in the appropriate pages of the library website and the other related online services in the organization. So we can do one, all the digital collected or content can be accessed by our library website, plus and whatever the online services by the organization which is available, we can add into that. The second one is, in addition to or in the absence of a remote online access to the digital collection, there is the need to explore other methods of providing access to the digital collections. So we need to think of, if it is an online, is it okay? Even sometimes if any problem with that online, we need to think of providing the access by the other ways. So those includes and setting up local public access computers on library local area network. So we can just plan 5 to 6 computers which can access these kind of materials. Once the collected is, we need to put it in the internet, but local area network can be accessed. Next is provision of email based services. Whatever we are doing email based services, we can include our documents. And next is with the optical media, CD, DVD, ROM based distribution of collections can be done, and internet based distribution of collections. And finally is awareness services and promotions through Web 2.0 technologies. So whatever it is, we can just even share our informations by social media and forums and RSS and our digital libraries and digital collections. We can just share by this. Based on this, we can just promote our digital libraries. And the last point is with the intellectual property rights, and aware of the relevant intellectual property rights that apply to the creation, storage, and dissemination of digital information resources. In a digital collections, intellectual property right is a very important aspect. We need to take care of this. And intellectual property rights are like any other property right. They allow creators or owners or patents or trademarks or a copyrighted works to be benefit from their own work or investment in creation. Like the academic libraries which are interested to undertake a digitization project, they need to be aware of the legal issues related to this. So they must investigate the copyright laws involved of each item they intended to digitize and also the legal issues affecting its access by users. Thus, three issues such as copyright, authenticity and intellectual property management must be properly addressed by the libraries. And at last, the summary what we have just learned by this class is for the digital libraries facilities users to access electronic versions of a full text documents and their associated images. And next is with the setting up of digital library requirements require planning and implementation strategy, includes a budget, collection, development and selection of a content, manpower skill development, digitization and sustainability, etc. And final is this model reviews the steps involved in a digitization projects and proposes solutions to improve the efficiency of a digital library software packages. Thank you.